Good evening. This is an open meeting of the Town of Maynard Finance Committee. It is being conducted via Zoom. Speakers on the agenda will be participating remotely, and I may allow for the public to provide comment. The committee would like to hear public comments, and if there is further action that is required by this committee, the chair will add this matter as appropriate to a forthcoming agenda, depending on the comment. The committee may, if they are able within the confines of open meeting law, respond with information as opposed to needing to deliberate on the matter. Please note, while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, this hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast to individual attendees unless otherwise required by law. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, so please take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by this recording. This meeting is being recorded. All meeting materials can be found on Board Docs. This is accessible via the town website. And we recommend that the members and public follow along on the agenda as posted on Board Docs, unless I note otherwise. Some ground rules for the business meeting or this open public meeting. We will now be turning to the first item on the agenda, which is the open public hearing. Before we do so, please permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude the remarks, the chair will go down the line of members of the committee, inviting each to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking, if you are not part of the Finance Committee. If members wish to engage in a colloquy with other members, please do through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comment, after the members have spoken from the committee, the chair may afford public comment as follows. The chair will first ask the member of the public who wishes to speak to please identify their name and also their address. Once the chair has a list of all of the public commentators, they will be called on by name and their response may be recorded in the minutes for any comments. Public comment for public hearings. This is a public hearing, so this will have potentially public comments. If no new information is added, the chair may ask the public commenter to please wrap up their point and move on to the next topic. I think that's the full script for the public meeting. So without further ado, we can launch into the public meeting. So let me pull up. There are too many windows open. I'll pull up the actual the articles for the meeting. Okay. And I will share my screen. All right, so this is as posted on the town website. So thanks very much for sharing that, Greg. So this is the full, I believe we were also mailed it in the physical mail as well. So there will be 9 articles at the special town meeting, starting with the zoning bylaw articles, and then going into the rest of the articles here. We, as a finance committee, did get all of our comments in before the printing, so they also should be included in the printouts that any citizens may have received in the mail. So Article 1 So I think traditionally the way this has worked in the past, this is my first time being chair, is that at the public hearing tonight, we sort of just give a brief summary of what the article is and what the FinCom recommendations are. And then we allow space for any public question or comment or further discussion. And if there is some reason that we feel we need to revote on an article, that has been done in the past, I believe. So I did put it as a potential option in our posted meeting notice. I'm not necessarily anticipating that that will happen, but it is open to do so. So unless any other committee members have any other further comments or questions, I can jump into the articles and do brief presentation or discussion on each of them. Hearing none. The first article is a zoning bylaw change. So this will add a special use by special permit to the neighborhood business overlay district. And this will allow for kennel use. So this is a potential desirable service for residents. It will require a special permit. There will have to be public hearings prior to any establishment opening. The Finance Committee did recommend this article as it would still have a special permit process, and it could potentially bring commercial businesses to support Maynard residents. I will open the floor for any questions or further discussion on this particular zoning bylaw article. All right. I'm not hearing any, but please, fellow committee members, jump in. Sometimes when I share screens, I have trouble seeing. All right. Article number 2. This is to transfer $250,000 from the town reserves in the Capital Stabilization Fund to fund the replacement of the cooling and heating system in the Fowler School auditorium. The Capital Stabilization Fund balance is currently $408,000. This HVAC system is considered past its expected lifespan and is currently unrepairable. So the school comments provided by the sponsor were quite thorough in describing the situation. And the Finance Committee did vote to recommend this article to address these emergency repairs. We felt it was critical to the function of the school auditorium, which is used both for educational purposes and as an emergency town center. We felt that the use of stabilization funds was okay because it was an emergency and an unforeseen expense. So now that I know from your comments, Greg, that it was 408, I think this 158 might be a little off, but my mental math is slow today. Is that true? Yeah, no, my calculator.
That's right.
No, that's right.
That's right. That's right. It is right. See, I'm slow today. Okay. I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. It is right. Okay. And this is why I use a calculator. Okay. So yeah, so I'll open the floor for any comments or questions on this article. Okay. I am not hearing or seeing any hands. So I will go to article number 3. So Article number 3 is for borrowing authorization for the building of a new elementary school. So currently the town has the opportunity to participate in a state grant program, which can cover part of the cost of a new building. And this is outlined in the sponsor's comments. So how these articles typically work is they ask to raise the total amount of money, even though part of this money will be raised through this grant process. The sponsor sort of outlines very nicely where this money, how this money would support this project. And the Finance Committee voted to recommend this project. We had a thorough discussion about the school being at a crossroads. So it's between either extensive renovations or a new building to meet the town's children's education needs. The cost of renovating the current building is expected to be around $40 million. And this is just a sort of a construction estimate with current numbers. The building of a new building with this MSBA, I'm missing a letter, MBSA grant would be approximately 54 million. So there's not really a zero cost option. The school does need to do this to address the needs of the children of the town. So it's our opinion that building a new school has numerous benefits. So it will be slightly more expensive, around 14 million more expensive. But we believe that some of the opportunities in a new building, such as, water, energy, and other operational cost savings could potentially help offset that would not be available in a renovation. So this is where the Finance Committee came on this. So I will sort of open the floor to questions or comments for this article.
Jillian, it looks like Glenn has a question.
Yes, Glenn, please.
Yes. I'm trying to find out what the actual total cost of the bond issue is once we pay it off, including interest.
Sure. I believe, would that be in the document that you shared with us, Greg, the cash flow estimate?
It might, yeah, it might be. Do you have, yeah, you can,
I
that's
do
what,
have that.
that's what I was gonna check.
So I can share that instead. So let's see. That's this document right here. So this is what I am aware of. So this sort of breaks it down as to how things would be allocated.
Okay. So
and
I don't know what some of the terms are there, like what's a DD and what's a CD in this case.
That's a great question.
In other words, I could probably go in and try and do a lot of calculating on these figures, but it looks like here funding, does that funding amount mean that's what's coming from the Commonwealth?
No, I don't, I think those
No.
are to phases of the project. So I think SD is, but don't quote me on this.
Okay,
I'm
sure.
not entirely sure, but as I'm reading it, I'm Greg Johnson, the town administrator. I
Yeah.
think it's, this is my total guess. I think it's parts of the phasing in, because down below it says construction. So if you're getting up to construction, that does include design. So that might be, actually, Khadijah probably knows more than I do, but I would say that, yeah, okay, look to Khadijah.
Yeah. You're muted, actually.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
We can hear
Yep.
you. Yeah.
Okay, SD is probably schematic design, DD is design development, and CD is construction documents.
Nice,
And
that's
then
what I was gonna guess.
bidding is when it goes out to construction.
Nice.
So DD was what again? Sorry.
Probably design development.
Oh,
So it's part of the developing of the construction documents
okay.
to put it out for a public bid.
Uh-huh.
And I
Okay.
believe this is all before incentives as well, correct? This is not assuming any incentives.
Yeah, it's like that's right. This is for $83.6 million. So this is
Right.
what the cost of the project is.
Oh, I see.
This is the
And it's
total
before
estimated
even the
cost.
MSBA kicks in anything.
So,
Correct.
okay, so this shows what we're gonna have to pay to do it prior to receipt of funding from the state under the MSBA grant and prior to any other rebates that we might receive because of it being a green building or what have you. Is that correct?
Somewhat, but it is kind of simultaneous. So $83.6 million doesn't all come out of well, I don't think we're gonna have to bond for. I have to get back to you on this for certainty, but I'm
Well, okay, just for sake of conjecture, let's say we only have to bond what is not covered by those other funds that are going to be available. So what I'm trying to find out is, I mean, the analogy that I posed at one of the meetings of the building committee was, if I buy a home and I take out a mortgage and my home costs, let's say $500,000 and I have a certain percent of interest, then when I sign the statement with the bank for the mortgage, I end up with a statement at the bottom of the page, maybe somewhere in the fine print, but they have to tell me what's the total amount of money I'm going to pay if I pay the mortgage off at a regular basis as prescribed, including principal and interest by the end of the loan.
yeah, I knew what your question was at the
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
If Jillian scrolls down, we might be able to see.
I think this just shows the raw numbers. It doesn't show the breakdown per household, the average household.
No,
Is
I
that
don't
what
care
you're
about
looking
the
for?
household. I'm interested in, for the total project, the 54 million we're going to borrow. What is it going to cost us to pay back that 54 million? Not 54 million, because otherwise the bondholders would not earn any interest. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yes, I don't have that in this
Yeah.
document though.
Okay.
I'll see what I can find.
Okay.
So it would be, to help everyone out, it would be the estimated bond payment. I assume it's a fixed, I assume it's a fixed rate, but is the estimated bond payment multiplied by the term of the bond? But Greg probably
Something
already
like
knew
that, and
but
that it's only
yeah.
if it's a zero coupon bond. Otherwise, there's other payments would have to be made, correct? Do you know what I'm asking?
I think I do. I'm gonna see what I can find really quick.
Okay. 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 I'll be as patient as I can, but obviously town meeting is only in a week, so but we'll see what we can get in the way.
I mean,
of figures.
I think it would depend what the interest rates were when we go to bond, right? And we wouldn't know that yet. I don't know if
Right.
that's like estimated.
That's probably true, but I'm not looking for an exact figure. I'm looking for
Yeah,
an
yeah.
estimated amount,
Yeah.
a ballpark idea of what we really are paying,
So I just forwarded.
principal and interest.
Yep. So I just forwarded to Jillian what I got from my treasurer collector, who's in contact with our bonding agency, if you will, like our vendor, and it kind of breaks it down. So she'll show you in a second.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yep, I just got it, so thanks for that.
That I'll mute myself. That's the only question I have about this article at the moment. So
Okay, yep, I lost the Zoom window. Okay. Let's see. This article. You see this okay? This is what you wanted to share, right, Greg?
I can see it.
Yes. So, but that again, to your early question, so it's under the even read it says at the top, assumes an equal principal for 30 years at 5%. So we
Okay.
haven't gotten out the bond yet. So that's all market relative. So we'll see how much it costs at the
Of
time.
course, yes.
And then you can just see how the breakdown. So again, with the average single family home valued at $465,000, and then it goes down to the breakdown from there. So these are.
So I'm looking at mostly I'm interested in the first three columns. I mean, the average homeowner, that can be calculated later, and I know they had some figures already in the proposals which show approximately so much per month in the documents. about the project, but if you can scroll down, I'd like to see what the total. Right, so it shows the estimated interest. So the real amount that we will have paid over the 30 years is $95 million. Is that correct?
That's how I'm reading it. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, that answers my question.
Yep.
How do I get a hold of this document? Is there somebody can send it to me, or is it available online?
This document should be reflected in the. I think you just mentioned this, Glenn. I think this document is reflected in what the school building committee's materials show. But I'll see if this is. I think I can show this to you.
They only gave an estimate per household. They didn't show this number. I went to multiple meetings and asked this question. And they said we don't have that figure.
Oh,
So-
that's interesting because obviously they want to give what information they have. So let me see if I can give this. Jillian has it now, but I have your email, Glenn, so I can. forward
Okay,
it.
that would be great. I appreciate that very much.
Yep.
All right, I'm set on this one. I'll wait till the next article. Thank you.
Yeah, my understanding too is if we would also have to go out to bond the 40 million to do a renovation, there would also be some similar interest on that as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Clearly, I just, I'm not doing it to compare with that. Clearly, that's an option that's not being considered seriously, in terms of the administration anyway. So this is the one that I want to know.
Yeah. So actually, if we consider the repair scenario, the ratio between principal and interest will be the same, assuming it's the same term bond. Like assuming we're finance each project the same, the ratio between principal and interest total payments will be the same, regardless of the absolute value of the bond amount. So with the repair scenario, assume it was a 30-year term, correct, Greg? That you did this out?
5%.
Yeah.
Yep.
At 5% interest at 30 years, you would be looking at a total cost for the repair scenario at 40 million. If we scroll down, I think we could do the math really quickly.
No, okay. I mean, I don't need that, but if you want to go into it, it's fine. But
yeah, I think
I got
think it's
what I
important
wanted
for
here.
the context. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, so 95 dot and then 40 million.
Mhm.
So under the repair scenario, we'd be looking at a total cost of approximately 71 million.
Okay.
Just so we can do an apples to apples comparison between the two choices we have.
Okay. Sure.
All right. Thanks for sharing that document, Greg, and for the question as well.
Thank you.
Glenn, thank you. Are there any further questions on the school article? Number 3. Share this again. All right. I am not currently seeing anyone's hands, but please yell at me if I'm missing anyone. Oh, is Glenn, are you raising your hand again?
Yeah, for Article 4, is that where we've gotten to?
Yep,
There
so
it
we're going to
is.
go to article number 4, yes.
Okay,
So-
so I have one question.
Sure, I'll introduce the article and I will
Oh, yeah,
welcome your
please
questions.
go right
Yep.
ahead.
Okay, so article number 4 is the citizens petition. So this is asking for some allocation from free cash, beginning with FY24 for a minimum of 5 years, up to a certain amount of money, up to $120,000, to be put towards or dedicated to a senior center. The finance committee did not recommend this article. We appreciate the spirit of the article and the desire for a new senior center, but we did not recommend it as written. So we can only recommend or not recommend what we are presented. So we did not recommend it as written because of the associated uncertainty. So it said up to a certain amount of money, up to $120,000, which doesn't contain a certain sum. So that's required for articles. And we also felt free cash varies year to year, and it's unknown what exactly that amount will be until the Department of Revenue or DOR certification. So we felt this funding source was not definite and is difficult to anticipate for the next 5 years. So we thought it would be difficult to plan using that funding source. So that is why we did not recommend this article, but we did appreciate the spirit of the article. So
Okay.
now I open the floor to your questions.
Thank you. Thank you. So what seems like the implication, and I would like to ask, if a substitute motion was brought before the meeting, which took out the up to wording and also removed the specification from free cash and found some other place to get the money from, would that be a legitimate article? And would the finance committee consider such a substitute motion at the meeting?
So in the past, we have taken, like, articles have been amended on the floor in the past. It is something that if someone feels very strongly about it, it can be done. I would also encourage you maybe to reach out to the moderator, so Dick Downey, because he can actually help you. I think there's like a form or something, Greg, that you can get even when you go to the town meeting if you want to amend an article. And it helps you like phrase it a certain way. There's
Yes.
a way you have to write it and give it to the
Of course.
moderator. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have your
So-
name and your address and
Yeah.
the date and which article it is and what your language is and your signature, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I did this
Yeah.
in Arlington as well. So I'll talk to
Oh,
him.
okay.
What's the best way to reach him?
So you can reach him at his email. I'd have to look it up on my internet.
Is
But,
it on the town's website?
It probably is, but I can just tell you too, because I think I email him every day. So it's
Okay.
it's D Downey, so DDOWNEY
Okay.
at townofmaynard.net.
Excellent.
But he's probably to your point, Jill. I think he's just going to explain procedure, but he won't. He's supposed to be objective, so he's not going to weigh in as to what the finance committee may judge according to whatever amendment may or may not happen. And then, but I think your question is quite broad, because what might be that amount and where there is that funding sources may be. The select board will probably also weigh in too. So there.
Well, I don't necessarily, I mean, I know that there's a risk in any substitute motion being brought forward where one has to propose the money comes from somewhere, and if the meeting doesn't seem to think that's appropriate, then it gets voted down. But in this particular case, the other question I have, which might be pertinent to such a substitute motion, is if they're asking for 5 years, should we put in 5 years worth of this amount in order so that a lease might be entered into with the town showing a commitment for the 5 years, which would be $600,000, if I'm not mistaken. Should that be how it's worded, so that it actually does what they're asking, even though they didn't ask it quite correctly?
I think during our discussions as well, it also came up that there is currently a study ongoing for a senior center and how to build it. So I believe at our last town meeting, or maybe 2 town meetings ago, we did allocate some money for a, what are they called, Greg? A building study or something?
No, so it was a community assessment. So there was 2 funding sources that have come to fruition. One is $35,000 from free cash per the amended free cash article at last May's annual town meeting. And that was going towards, and I can't remember what the exact language was, which is important, but it was something to the effect of, for seeking improvements or studies that may lead towards improvements of the senior center. So, and which presumably, I think, again, I don't remember the exact language, but it could include, if I recall, this assessment, which is to be contracted by UMass Boston's. I can't remember the name of the particular school that falls under, but that's what they do for communities, is they sort of help communities get do research project and find out the needs of this demographic, seniors, if you will. And then but that was one funding source. The other funding source was simultaneously there was lobbying done by this group of citizens to Representative Kate Hogan's office for an earmark, what it's called, in the state budget, and that did pass. So that I checked it today just to kind of double check, and it was in the final state budget that was signed in August. And so that's also $35,000 because again, that was a very specific amount that was identified by this particular group of citizens in advocating for this project by UMass. But I don't believe we've engaged with that because I don't believe UMass was even, my understanding is UMass wasn't going to sort of schedule the project until funds were identified. And so and then you kind of have to get on their schedule, right? So I can't speak to that, but
Okay.
yeah, so that's a little bit of background.
So the funds have just become available, so that's why UMass hasn't acted yet, because they were waiting for that event and then to turn the crank and make it start.
And I don't know that. I also am not familiar with the timeline for that research project. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
no.
Go ahead. Who's that?
Madam Chair, I believe Mary Ann Shields are you trying to do a correction, Mary, or some information regarding this? Okay, you're on mute, Mary. I can't recognize you, but I'm just pointing you out to the chair.
Yeah, I can't really see anything because I'm sharing my screen, so.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Mary Ann Shields. I live at 2 Louise Street. I am the recently elected chair of the Council on Aging for Maynard. And we do have a contract with the UMass Gerontology Institute to begin a study in January. And the Council on Aging Board will be working this fall to prepare for working with UMass. We'll be analyzing what the senior center currently does, what we need to do. We'll be talking with members of the community who use the senior center and with members who maybe don't use us, but are certainly interested parties to assure that the study covers the questions that we need to have answered before we can design a senior center which actually meets the needs. We have a plan of action written for this. The Finance Committee will be receiving copies of that probably within the week. There's 1 or 2 more meetings we have to have before we can make this general public knowledge. And we will be asking for input from the town administrator, from the select board, from the Finance Committee, and from the Capital Planning Committee. We would like them to look at our plan of action and assure that what we are asking them to help us do makes sense time-wise and financially. And it will be, the plan of action emphasizes using the information in the UMass study to design a senior center which will answer the needs of Maynard seniors. This is not a stock study we're going to be getting. Our senior center needs to be different from Newton's, needs to be different from Acton's, needs to belong to us for our needs. So that's where we stand. The contract's been signed. It's starting in January. They're going to deliver their report next September, and there will be a public meeting in October of some sort. We haven't got far enough down the road to know what form that's going to take, so that everyone in Maynard who has an interest can come and see what the study says.
Thank you. That's
welcome.
that's a very thorough answer. I'm just, from my impression from reading the article that was submitted is that there's been studying going on for a very long time, and it's like one of those one of those classic government problems where things get studied and studied and studied, but nothing comes out from it. How is this different from what's happened in the past?
Well, what I know is that there was a community study done in 2013, but I don't think there's been a formal study done since then. I think this will be the first formal study of just the needs of the senior population. It's also good. We're also going to be asking the groups that I mentioned before if they have questions that they want to be sure that the study addresses, because it's easy to focus on the fact that we need a senior center. We really do. Nobody disputes that.
Yeah.
The question is, are there other programmatic or service needs that might be addressed, maybe housing or medical needs or something like that, that other groups in the municipal government, other boards, other committees might be interested in having answered? And so we want to have some input, because $35,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money, but it's a lot of money. And so we want to be sure that we get the most information that is the most beneficial to all the needs of the seniors that we can from this study.
All right.
Madam Chair, may I also answer the
I'd
question
like
further?
to, Stephen has been waiting patiently, so I'd like to give him an opportunity first, if that's all right, Kevin.
That's fine.
Okay, two questions. First of all, the gerontology study with UMass, is that with UMass Boston or with UMass Amherst?
Boston.
Boston, okay. Second, I had been told that two of the people who had been leaders in the citizens petition would be at this meeting. Are you one of them, or is there someone else that fits that description? I signed the petition, but I was not involved in formulating the proposal. And I'm curious as to whether someone who has been involved in the effort has something to say.
I am not that person. I am the chair of the Council on Aging Board. I'm not a member of the focus group.
Okay.
The board itself does not take positions on political matters, which this qualifies as that.
So to clarify for a little bit for you, Stephen, there's a private effort that put forward the citizens petition, which is known as the focus group. The council, which Mary Ann Shields represents, is an official government function. And so they cannot take a position on a citizens petition. So they have to stay neutral in that regard.
Do you have any further questions or comments, Stephen? I see your hand is still raised.
No.
No?
I'll
Okay.
take it down.
Let me just add one thing, Jillian, to the discussion.
please.
So I've been serving on the finance committee for almost a year now, maybe a little bit longer. Been active in the town since 2018, 2019. Really the first kind of discussions we've had as a town regarding the senior center since I've been paying attention happened at that last town meeting. Was the first kind of mention that I've heard about some sort of funding towards some sort of study or some sort of action towards moving the senior center out of that building or potentially upgrading it.
Okay. Are there any further public questions or comments on article number 4? Okay. I am not seeing or hearing any.
Or
All right. So I will move on to article number 5. So article number 5.
I don't know how to do the Zoom hand raise. I just wave in the camera.
Yeah, let me just, there's like a little sentence I can read about it, and then I'll open the floor. So the purpose is to amend this general fund budget. So there was an updated revenue from the state budget in the amount of $31,878. So this article proposes as in the sponsor comments. I'll scroll down a bit so you can see them. So this proposes $5,000 for library personnel salaries. The remaining $26,878 is proposed for the fire department salaries to make up for potential shortfalls in those departments' respective budgets. Separately, the town meeting warrant appendix shows the transfer of salary funds within the Public Works Department to fund an increase in hiring in the cemetery division to meet operational needs, which should be outlined in the sponsors' comments here. And the Finance Committee did recommend this article. And this article basically describes how the net local aid increase will be distributed. So I'll scroll up here so you can sort of see these numbers here and open to public comment. All right, I see Glenn raising your hand.
Yes. In general, is the scope of this article limited to the allocation of the recently available money, or does this open up the budget for discussion in general about other items which are not slated to be increased?
So my understanding is that it's focused solely on this $31,878 and where it's going to go.
I see. Okay, because I had some questions that I saw in the appendix that I wanted to get some information on, but it sounds as if those might be more appropriately asked at a springtime general town meeting rather than this one. Does that make sense?
I would also highly recommend you reach out to me.
Okay.
I wrote this article. I am the budget dude, and I recommend all the budget stuff to the select board. So I highly encourage anyone before it gets to town meeting floor to ask me questions.
The budget dude, I like that. Okay. I will defer asking any of those questions here at this meeting, and I will chat with you, Greg, at some point in the future.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Are there any additional questions or comments on article number 5? All right. I am not seeing or hearing any currently. All right, so article number 6 and article number, these are the two I think that are related somewhat. So article number 6 is proposed roadway easements. So this article addresses obtaining easements on Heights Terrace as part of a process of making unaccepted roads into accepted roads. So these easements are required to be able to pave and otherwise manage these roads. So the Finance Committee recommended this article. So my understanding is that if this article is sort of paired with number 7, which is the actual acceptance of certain roads, and these easements are required to accept the roads. So they're sort of a little bit of a package deal. So I can also describe article number 7 here as well. So article number 7 is proposing to acquire Fletcher Street, Heights Terrace, and Allen Drive as public ways. So these are currently unaccepted roads. So the unaccepted roads are surveyed yearly for potential acceptance to be public roads. So currently they're private ways or unaccepted roads. They're not allowed to be resurfaced, reconstructed, or fixed, as stated in the town bylaws in chapter 18, section 3, item A. So all 3 roads that are listed in article number 7 are used by residents and also public safety services. And in article number 6, this would not be the acceptance of the road, but the easement of the road to have access. So the Finance Committee did recommend both of these articles. And I will open the floor for article number 6 and number 7. Any questions about the easements or public road acceptances. Oh, I think I see Glenn raising your hand.
Yeah, just a quick clarification. At this point in time, being that they're private roads, they do we pick up refuse and recycling from them anyway?
Yes.
Okay. What about snow and ice? I'm
Yes.
assuming that they treat it or the town
No.
treats them.
Town treats them.
So Jillian, I live on one of these roads and they do
Oh,
treat,
okay.
they do treats. So they fill potholes, they plow, they salt, and all could be because fire and police have to use the roads. So we have not posted signs that they're private. So technically they're not private, it's just our property. And the easement is never was legally bound when the developers developed the property. So the easement is the road going through our property. So the town has to accept that, and then they have to take the road by eminent domain so that they can officially maintain it. So technically we
Oh.
could put up signs that say like private, and fire and police can't use it, but
Oh, no.
we wouldn't do that.
Right.
So they keep it safe, but there's other issues that by the town actually taking the road would be better for us as public residents.
So at some point in the future, there may be an article at some subsequent town meeting asking for some kind of funds in order to repave or reconstruct those roads based on their condition.
Potentially, there's an algorithm that they put in like the worst roads, and that they decide what they're going to pave in what year, and it will just go on the list. And it
Okay.
might be like 30th on the list, but it will go on the list.
Right.
And there
I've
are
talked
many
to
other
Justin
roads.
about this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, in my experience back in Arlington, there was quite a bit of controversy about these because of the cost of rebuilding the road once it was accepted. But it sounds
Yeah.
as if that doesn't have to happen immediately. It happens when its turn comes up based on road conditions and the
Right.
existing formula.
Right. And there are 48 other unaccepted roads in Maynard. So I'm sure slowly all of them will, go through this process, hopefully, so that the town can maintain them. But they just go on the list, versus how many people use the road and how trafficked it is, how many people live on it. And there's, some process to that. But
Right. I call that the invisible developer debt.
yeah.
Because it happens in lots of towns where they build a development, they leave the road as a private road. It looks very nice and wonderful when they first do it.
Yeah.
But the secret is that road is going to start falling apart eventually. And suddenly the people who are the abutters go, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
And by then it's too late. The developer is long gone.
Or
So
bankrupt and
or bankrupt. Yeah, well, whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's almost a question of future planning when any new ways are going to be constructed. Is there a policy in the town to require, somehow urge developers to make roads consistent with the design, that they could be accepted as public roads when they're first constructed and become
Yeah.
part of the town roads?
Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be like it's inevitable that a development will become a town road, but developers are required through the planning board's process to build their roads in a development up to the standards of the town. So Wisteria Lane was just done, and that's a good example. Like so they did that road meets the standards of the town.
So did the town then take possession of the road to make it an official town road?
I don't know. I don't think Wisteria Lane is. I have to check, but those two aren't necessarily. Just because a developer decides to build a road with houses on it doesn't mean the town automatically takes it as an accepted road.
Well, exactly. That's my question. Because in other words, you're putting off to the future a pending problem, which is a road with eventually a lot of deterioration, and then we have to go through this process. Would it make any sense to do
a homeowner should be disclosed that information. So when you buy a road, the realtor, the agent should disclose.
When you buy a house.
excuse me, how you're right. So but yes, you should know whether your road is public or private. In other communities, Stowe, for example, Stowe has a significant amount of private roads, and a number of those roads, the preference of those homeowners is not to have it be accepted. They take on the burden of the maintenance and upkeep, but that's their preference.
That's their
So,
priority. Okay.
yeah, so one does not necessarily mean the other.
Okay. I see. All right. Thank you. That explains it.
I see Stephen. Oh, I think you're muted right now.
Okay, here we go. I've been in Maynard since 1974, and I think the only town meeting I've missed is when I was in the hospital. And my impression is that major projects tend to have the road acceptance taken care of in advance. At the Parker Street redevelopment of what was one of Digital's main campuses, for example. Smaller ones sometimes are not finished as town roads immediately, but then do get approved later, and they are usually in this town non-controversial.
I'm glad
Okay.
to know that. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that information. My understanding from talking with the DPW is that the Chapter 90, which is the money that we do get from the state for road maintenance, is something, and like Katie talked about, there's an algorithm that takes into account that funding and what roads might be upgraded or repaired or sidewalks or things like that. And it sounded like something like maybe 2 or so, or maybe 3 roads are anticipated to be accepted every few years or every year. To eventually, get the 48 roads if they wish to be accepted. Some people may not want their road accepted, and that's fine. So I think my understanding is that there is a process to this, and it won't all just happen in one go, so we can plan for it. Okay. All right. Are there any further questions or comments on article number 6 or the easements, or number 7, the roads? Okay, I am not currently hearing or seeing anyone. So we will move on to article number 8. So article number 8 is addressing an easement at 115 Main Street. So this will allow public access along a new promenade along the river to and from the Assabet River Rail Trail. Additionally, the town would grant the developer an easement to access the property in the current municipal parking lot. And this will be in accordance with the special building permit plan. So this is sort of described in the sponsor's comments. The Finance Committee did recommend this article. So I will open the floor to questions or comments on article number 8. Okay, I see Glenn has their hand raised.
Yeah, just quickly, I've been paying attention to the work on this, and I noticed many of the trees along the edge of the river have been cut down. Do we have any way of specifying how this looks or how it's going to be developed once we provide this?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Matt.
I was going to actually ask you. I was like, I do not know.
Okay, so you can actually just on the screen right here. So it points out that this is already going through Conservation Commission and Planning Board. So you can see plans already include the site plan and development agreement special permit. So I'm not I haven't, it's been a while since I looked at those plans. But I mean, I remember the rendering showing trees. I couldn't speak to the specificity of it, but those plans have already been laid out. So this town meeting is not asking whether town voters are approving what it's going to look like.
Okay,
The question is, it's like in order for the project to come to how certain stakeholders like the planning board want it to kind of look, which includes this, I call it a promenade. It's kind of referred to as promenade, which is like basically a path from Main Street along the river, like you pointed out, towards the rail trail, because there's that footbridge that in the back.
yes,
So we want public access to that, right? But it's a private property. So if we want public access to that, then we need an easement. Simultaneously,
exactly, yes,
developer wants access through, there's like the CVS parking lot, and then it goes around the backside where the parking is for you can park along the rail trail.
yes.
So the developer, McDonald Development, wants to be able to let tenants into that building park underneath his building or in his building, but to get access through that public parking lot to get there.
What is otherwise called a curb cut, right?
Actually, I can't speak to that. I don't know if that's what it's
Oh, well,
called.
that's the term they use when you have a public road and then a private access needs to be granted so that they can have traffic access of private property. But that's
That-
the terminology I
sense.
learned from another town. It's
That
called a
might
curb cut.
that might be true. So
Okay.
either way, so it's kind of like both, right? To make the project look to how the planning board accepted the project to look, which we want the public amenity of the access way from Main Street to the rail trail,
Right,
and the developer wants access into his garage.
got it. Okay, and so there's no vehicular traffic. This promenade is strictly a pedestrian way.
It's pedestrian.
Okay.
The renderings exist. I just don't.
Okay, okay, all right, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, I was trying to find them, but I thought I had them, but I don't.
We got
I
one more.
see Stephen has your hand raised. Oh, you're muted again.
Anywhere.
You're sorry, you got muted again somehow.
Okay, there. I believe curb cut usually refers to where the curb where a driveway meets a street is put in. I'm curious as to which side of the river the pathway is going to be on, and I'm hoping that at town meeting, even though it's all been approved as far as the planning board and presumably conservation commission and so on are concerned, the public would benefit from seeing displayed just where this is.
I found it, so I can show you.
That's a good
Grand.
idea. I've seen I helped put together the draft PowerPoint already. So
Okay, here we go.
I don't remember if this is in the PowerPoint slide, but I think it's a good point, Stephen, that we could probably show either this or something like this for people to see. So if you're looking if you're standing on Main Street and then that what is now a hole in the ground where this building is going to go,
Yeah.
that it's going to go between the hole and the river. And so, and on the other side of the river, is the cleanings and then the deli and the hair salon, right? So if you're standing on the Main Street bridge, it's right along the Main Street bridge. Yeah.
And
I don't know if you can see.
CVS is over to the right in this diagram.
Yes.
The CVS
Right.
parking lot is there. And at the top of the diagram, there's where the trail comes down to go over the pedestrian bridge.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the trees that I was concerned about were all along the river. There's a couple of trees left way back near the pedestrian bridge, and the others are all been cut down. So I didn't know what the plan was there. What are the little square boxes in the red?
That's pavers. So that's like bricks. So
But it shows,
These are
those
those-
boxes.
those ones.
are those
I'm not
columns?
used to looking at these. I'm not sure. But this,
Khadijah might know. Can you scroll left again? Because there was an arrow pointing to it. It says
Khadijah, you're muted.
Yeah, I can't read I can't read that drawing. You can blow it up a little bit more.
Yeah,
I'm having trouble moving it.
Maybe they're
Proposed-
planters.
Guard parking, see landscape plan. Okay,
It says well.
Oh, well,
parentheses.
plant, maybe that's a well for planting. You like
okay.
a tree well? Yeah, it's hidden by the red box there.
Oh, I see. So it looks like the design of
typical, yeah.
the
Yeah.
design of it is meant to have a railing to prevent pedestrians from falling into the river.
Right. we're
And
just saying-
that
Yeah.
there would be no trees along the river. Instead, just a view of the river, and the trees that are, if you go up in the diagram closer to the pedestrian bridge, it shows, I'm assuming, I'm hoping the trees that are back there, which are still on town land, which would remain near where it says 5-foot wide bit concrete walkway. Like between that and the river, I believe there are trees that should still be there, but hopefully they will remain.
I can't speak to that. The Conservation Commission weighed in, so I
They
don't.
know, they will know that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But
Oh,
I
I see.
think those boxes show a tree well. You know, you walk along the street and you see a grate where a tree is in. They
Oh,
call it a-
okay.
I think that's what that red thing that says easement granted to McDonald Development.
Right.
That says well. So that must be a tree well.
Okay, and the gray area with the parking spaces numbered 1 through 11 is a surface parking lot versus the numbers in the white rectangle to the right of that are parking underneath the footprint of the building.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. I'll vote in favor of that.
All right. I see. Stephen, you have your hand raised? Oh, you're muted again.
My guess is the situation with the trees right at the riverbank may be that they're unstable. The analogy is probably to the stretch of the rail trail between Route 117 Great Road and Ice House Landing, because a good many trees have been taken out that are right on the edge of the river there and were falling into the river.
Oh, I see.
I suspect that may be the sort of situation that they've encountered there.
Okay. I know one tree did fall into the river. I remember seeing it. I have pictures of it. Yeah.
Now, if
Okay.
you walk along that trail, it's obvious that there's been quite a lot of tree trunks cut and removed within the
Yes,
last couple of years.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
And
Okay.
that's that there is not the river I was just talking about. That was the mill race. That's what took water from the Assabet River above the Ben Smith Dam, which is the one that is right by combined 117 and 62. Okay, near the old trolley car barn and so on, and the Mobile station, but a little bit further towards Stowe. And that carries water to the mill pond and has for a long time now. And
Right.
that's where there's been very considerable cutting of trees right close to the river because they were falling in. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the discussion on Article 8. Are there any further questions or comments on this article? Okay. I don't see anyone's hands raised. All right, so we'll move on to Article number 9. So Article number 9. So this article updates the current demand fee from $5 to $20 for late payments to the town treasurer collector's office. The current fee amount has been unchanged for more than 25 years. This updated amount will bring it in line with contemporary administrative costs that are associated with late revenue collection practices. So the Finance Committee did recommend this article. Are there any questions or comments on Article number 9? Okay. Oh, is that a old hand, Stephen, or do you have a new comment?
No,
Okay,
That's old.
all right. So I'm not seeing any other questions or comments for article number 9, which is the final article in our special town meeting. Okay. So that should cover all the articles that are in the town meeting. So I thank everyone for coming to this open public hearing of the Finance Committee. Very fruitful discussion. Thank you very much for your participation. If there's no further comments or questions, I will entertain a motion to close this public hearing and continue with our normal Finance Committee meeting.
I move we close the meeting.
Someone on the committee has to do that.
I know. Well, okay. Nobody
I
One
said
of
will
my
make
it.
a
lovely
motion that we
committee members.
close- That we
All right,
close the
I'll bite-
public hearing.
Oh,
Okay.
I
So,
second.
all right. So Katie motions to close the public hearing and Kevin seconds. Is there any further comments or discussion? Hearing none, I will take a roll call vote. So Khadijah,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Nathan.
Yes.
I am also a yes. So that closes the public hearing for the special town meeting, but we will continue on to our normal finance meeting, which you are welcome to attend if you desire. All right, so let's open up some items here.
I will say
Okay.
good night, having had no dinner yet.
Good
Thank
night.
you all.
Have a good dinner.
Thanks, Glenn.
Glenn.
Right. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
All right. So I think I just closed the window I'm supposed to leave open. Oopsie. So I think our next topic was discussing updates from the committee and the chair members. Has there been, I think there's a budget subcommittee meeting, October
25th.
25th. Yep. Okay. So that's coming up soon. Let me also open. I hate when I have to share my screen, I just lose everything. Right. Okay. So I think one of the questions coming up for the special town meeting, obviously, is if anyone is not able to make it, because it sounds like Linda and I are not able to make it. So if anyone else can't make it, I think we still need to make sure we have a quorum.
I will be there.
I will be there.
I'll be there.
Okay. All right. Cool. So there will be a quorum.
So, Madam Chair, who will you nominate to serve as the chair during the special town meeting?
Yeah. So Katie has been nominated as our chair, as the
Vice
vice
chair.
chair. So
I will say recommends or not recommends. I'm ready. I've been practicing.
we believe in you.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah. So it'll go well. So I did get feedback from Dick that we might actually, so I did post it as a meeting. But we might want to actually post it instead of starting at 7, we might want to post it starting at 6:30. So the finance committee meeting can be opened a little bit before the actual town meeting. Is that how it's typically done, Greg? I don't remember. I've never posted it before. I don't know.
Yeah, I do that for select board because just in case. So like if you get something, if you catch wind of something
Okay.
that day of and you want to do vote and you don't want to, Dick especially doesn't want like to kind of, he says this all the time, but he said it today during the prep meeting, like he does not like delay, which I appreciate. So he doesn't want to like a huddle on the side for something that possibly could have been voted on before town meeting started. So he says, so I'm just letting you know, I'm going to post a
Yep.
board, a meeting for the select board at 6:30 usually. And then that doesn't necessarily mean they even meet at 6:30. My board members usually roll up at 6:30 anyways. I don't know if we've in the last 5 years, I take that back. Maybe once we actually voted on something that was like random came up, but yeah, it's just in case.
So,
Okay.
so question, so say like, Dick gets wind of, or gets a submission in writing of a potential amendment. For like, using the senior center, for example, because it sounds like someone is contemplating amending that article. If someone were to amend it and Dick were to get advance notice of that, would we be able to vote on a recommendation even though the motion has not been formally filed?
It wouldn't
Yeah.
get filed until the meeting, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it would get filed at the meeting.
But I
So,
think Dick
like,
would,
Yeah.
I think Dick would prefer you deliberate ahead of time.
So we could deliberate, we could potentially, have a preemptive deliberation. So we're all, is that
Right.
above board if
Yep.
we have a preemptive deliberation beforehand, like, hey, this is potentially coming up, let's deliberate. And then we'd only have to hold up town meeting to just have the official vote to recommend or not recommend.
That's right. That's what Dick wants. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the vote, it takes a while, even though it's only 9 articles, but like I think they're all secret ballot. I might be mistaken. Either way, it takes a while to like tally everything and run them back and
Yeah.
forth.
I appreciate Dick's desire to make these things go quick, so we don't have people there till 11 p.m. or having to leave because they have to put the kids to bed.
yeah.
Can someone just give me like a rundown, just procedurally, what happens at the town? Like I've attended town meetings, but never as like part of FinCom, so I'm not right. So we have to have a meeting opened at the same time in order to make any official like statement. Is that the idea? And just in case we need to have a vote on anything on like whether to recommend or not recommend, we need to have opened a meeting.
Yeah, because you
Yep.
can't, because you wouldn't have met before. Like you can't meet outside of a public meeting. So like you have to have a public meeting to talk about anything.
And it's I guess I just assumed that like the town meeting was like, inclusive of any, committee that was there, but it makes sense that it actually has to be, each one has to be called to order separately.
No, you make a good point. So I've seen it done in different towns, where it's the assumption is, to your point, like there's a quorum of the body, of course, because you're voters. So there's a quorum of everybody, assumably. But I've also then seen in other towns where a town clerk will post an all boards posting, meaning like it's like separate from town meeting warrant. They just blanket all boards committees are meeting, which again is probably just because someone questioned it one time, and so the town clerk's office just decides to do it. In Maynard, we just sort of do it like kind of piecemeal. So it's because not everybody, the rec commission usually doesn't have any business at town meeting. So we just do it like each body sort of does it ahead of time. Yeah, but you're right. Otherwise you show up. I recommend a couple minutes early. We're going to be doing it with poll pads this time, so it's like iPads. So when you roll up to Fowler, you go in the normal way. But instead of it being like the big like voter rolls that the town clerk's office has and like at all the election, they're gonna have an iPad. And so they got trained on it today, like 15 or 16 volunteers got trained on using these iPads. So that there might be a little bit of growing pains. So like just use patience, they'll find your name, and then you'll be good to go. You'll get your little ballot, your stack of cards, and then you'll go in. But the finance committee typically sits on stage. I think that's the same setup this year.
Yep.
And then you sit up there. Yep.
So is that arrive a few minutes before 6:30 or a few minutes before 7?
6:45.
Yeah, Madam Chair, that's your call.
I'm not going to be there. It's Katie's call. So how do you want? How do you want to run it?
6:45 in the middle. I think it's fine. Nothing happens before 7, but just to get your seat and get comfy, get ready.
Yeah, you don't want to be the person walking up on the stage in front of the whole town.
Yeah.
I was confused by the 6:30 is when the official notice for a meeting is, and okay.
Yeah, but we can't open it until we have a quorum. So like we can't discuss anything until we have a quorum of members there. I think we should probably revisit this if we get wind that there's an amendment, a floor amendment coming.
Yeah.
We may have to meet at 6:30 just to get it out of the way, to be courteous to people, so we're not taking up their time trying to deliberate potential amendment. Hopefully the sponsor, if they choose to do so, would get that to us early, as opposed to springing us on the last minute.
Is there,
Yeah.
if something does come up that we're not expecting, we haven't like prepared for, is there a third choice beyond like recommend and do not recommend? Is there like a, like, we don't
I
know?
think we've done in the past, like, we don't have enough information to recommend or not recommend, so we just. I feel like that happened at like a meeting like before COVID, but I don't
That happened
remember.
at I believe that happened at the Maytown meeting. That was the official policy, although certain members did make personal represented themselves and not the committee as a whole
Yeah.
in comments to town meeting.
Yeah, the moderator definitely, he interprets the charter as the finance committee will provide a recommendation based on every article. So like that, he's gonna ask.
Right. Yep. I see Natasha is patiently waiting.
No, I just wanted to, Kevin, you said something and I just wanted to clarify. So if there's an amendment, it's not going to be a sponsored amendment because the sponsor was a whole list of people who signed a petition. So it would be one person like Glenn would be coming up to make an amendment on the floor, which would have to be after the article would be introduced. I mean, he'd provide that ahead of time, but it wouldn't, I don't think it's intended to be a sponsor amendment because they would have to go back to each person who signed the original petition to get it on there, which is, I think, the issue that we ran into as a school committee before. When we sponsor it, if there's an amendment to it, the sponsor wants to bring it forward, we have to bring it back to our board and get permission by the folks who are sponsoring it before we amend it before town meeting. So I just,
Yeah, I was a little sloppy with the terminology. I mean, if anyone were to bring forward an amendment to an article, because anyone can, not just the
Right.
original sponsors.
Yes.
Although you do raise a good point that you know, the amendment has to be within the scope of the original petition.
right, and anybody can amend at any point, so it's hard to always prepare for that.
Yeah. So there could be to bring it back to the original question, there, you know, depending upon the article, there could be potentially something out of the blue. Usually that's happened in the past with the budget article at annual. I don't recall the last time that happened at special town meeting.
Okay. All right. So I have a separate item, unless there's more questions about town meeting. Do I have any other notes for town meeting? I think I did. Nope. Okay. Any other questions or comments about the town meeting coming up next week? Okay. So I did get an email from Dick saying that there was someone, Benjamin, who is potentially interested. So our committee is full, but who is interested in potentially being a non-voting member for research. And apparently it sounded like town council said that that is something that is permissible or allowable. So I will see if this person would like to join our meetings as sort of a regular member, but not a voting member. And sort of talk to them more about that. So I did want to update the committee and let you know that might be happening.
What's the research? Is it academic research, or is it someone doing like a PhD thesis in government, or?
No. So in the past we've talked about having like a subcommittee. I don't think it would like officially be a subcommittee member, but like someone who, like if we have a particular question or a detailed question, they could do some potential more in-depth research, like reaching out to different committees, like as a liaison, and bringing back to us information type things.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So-
That's a good way to onboard, to ease people into it.
Yeah, so that's sort of the spirit of it, is that they'll get sort of access and learnings from interacting with us. And then, if someone leaves the committee, they could, become a full-time member. So it's sort of like not a training position, but just like an experience to get experience. And it sounds like this person has a lot of very nice experience in risk management and a lot of financial planning and things like that. So they could be someone who could be very strong volunteer if they're interested. So
I'm excited. That sounds like a great idea.
I'm signing off, Madam Chair, unless you need me.
nope. Thanks for reminding me. So thanks for coming, Greg. Appreciate it.
All right, see you guys.
All right. Okay. So there's that. And okay. So great. So since I wasn't here last time, are there prior minutes that you didn't approve? I saw the
We
minutes of
couldn't
7.
screen share last time,
Oh,
so
okay.
or record, so it was a little funky, but we didn't approve any minutes. I think there's 4 of them.
Okay. I have 2 of them. I have 7/17, 7/17 and 8/28. Okay. And that was going to be my other follow-up question, is if I need to send the old recording to WAVM, but it sounds like it didn't record last time. So
Right.
that's okay.
Correct.
Okay. No problem.
Kevin, do you have them? Well, I don't know that you can share, but
I saw them emailed. I'm just digging up the email really quick.
I
I
can give
saw
you the ability to share as
Yeah.
well too, directly.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the August 28th. Here's the 7/17. Okay, so those are the 2, and then there's the 9/11, the 9/11 meeting, which I'm just touching up on. There's a couple of key facts I have to go and double check on the recording and make sure I got that recorded correctly. That I'm a little bit fuzzy on. I could potentially share the 9/11 meeting as well. Those notes are mostly complete, but there's a couple key facts that are missing.
Okay. How about I start with I have the
Yeah.
7/17 and the
Yep.
8/28, the older ones.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
I'll make you a co-host so you can share the other ones. So let's see.
Absolutely.
Oops. Since I made you host, apparently I can't share anymore.
Am I the host? Oh wow!
Yeah.
I just saw my screen get a whole bunch of new buttons. Let
Yeah.
me see if I can.
So you
let-
can
let me-
either make me host again, or
Yeah, let
you
me
can
see.
share
How,
it
let me
directly.
manage participants. Okay, so Julian. Okay. And okay. You want to change the host to Julian? Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I will share. So these are the minutes from July 17th. Okay. So this was the meeting that was opened by the town moderator. This was our first meeting of the year. And we had discussion and routine agenda. All of our members were present. And talked about who was nominated for what. And then the meeting was adjourned. Are there any further questions or discussions on the minutes from July 17th? Is there a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from July 17th.
All right, so Katie has made the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Khadijah has seconded the motion. All right. Is there any further discussion? I am not hearing any. Okay. So I'll take a roll call vote. Khadijah?
Yes.
Kevin? Nathan?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
I am also a yes, so that is a unanimous approval for the July 17th minutes. All right. I just opened up the 8:18 minutes. So this is August 28th. So this was discussing the special town meeting and routine agenda. So I think this was where we talked to the school committee a little bit about some of the HVAC articles. So we do need to update this at the bottom. The reserve funds.
Yes.
Oops, I think my internet just went a little crazy.
So yeah, that's the one change that,
Ooh, I'm gonna turn off my camera. Maybe that'll help my bandwidth. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. We could see you too.
All right.
Did anything reset or would it be the same balance as prior meeting? Or did it reset?
Hi, can you hear me on my phone?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Oh, it looks like my internet's back. I'm gonna hang up. Okay. Oh shit. All right. Okay. So I think is my internet stable now? Can you guys hear me again?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks. So I think the only thing that would need to be updated in these minutes here is the reserve fund allocation. So this should be FY24 numbers, right? I think at the end of this instead of FY23. Is that right? Because we're in August. So so if that's the case, it should be 200, 250.
And then 0 transfers, right?
Yep. So we could potentially make a motion to accept as amended, unless there's further questions or comments on anything that's written here.
Oh, there's a typo on the first page where it says Kevin motion, Khadijah seconded. Just Khadijah's name is spelled different.
Conditia.
All right.
Thank you for that. I didn't see it.
Kind of pretty that way. So Jillian, can I make a motion to approve the minutes of August 28th with the amendments of adding in the 0 transfers with a $250,000 balance and then just some minor spelling errors?
Yes.
So I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right. So Nathan seconded. All right. So I'll take a roll call vote. So Khadijah,
Yes.
Kevin. I saw you say yes, but you're still muted. Nathan,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
I am a yes. And I think Kevin is also having difficulties.
Yes, sorry, my apologies. I am a yes as well.
Okay,
I'm trying to juggle this minutes with the last minute, so I am like furiously alt tabbing between different articles, different pages.
okay,
Okay, so yeah, please, yeah, so I'm a yes.
okay, great. So I'll stop sharing.
Before the chair continues, can I just get a
Yes.
clarification of, so I have Katie moved to approve, the July minutes. Who seconded the July minutes?
Khadijah.
Khadijah seconded.
Yep.
And
And then
And Nathan-
I motion to approve the most recent ones, the August 28th and Nathan second.
With amendments.
Yes, with amendment.
all right, so for July, Katie, and then Khadijah, and then for August, I have Katie, and then Nathan.
Perfect. All right. And then I don't actually have the other minutes to
All right.
share.
So yeah, I can share my screen in just a sec. I'll get them up, and so these are draft. I don't know if these are ready to be voted on tonight, but I just wanted to get comments before I start editing them, and because this was the big one. This is the September 11th one where you voted on a bunch of things. Okay, so let me just share my screen here. Oh, I'm the host, so I can share. Okay, FinCom minutes, 9/11. Okay. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yep.
Except it disappeared. I'm not used to being the host. So 1 second while I dig it out.
Yeah, it's a lot. All the windows just, I don't know where they go.
Yeah, I sympathize with the chair, the role they play. Okay, so it's buried behind the Zoom window. Let me see if I can get, okay. Can everyone still see okay, I see the green border, so I imagine.
Yeah, so it only shares that
Oh.
one window. So if you're opening, like, you can open another document and it only shares that current window.
Yeah,
That's green.
so
Yep.
So we see the PDF with the minutes on there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So one thing I intend to do, for the ease of the people who dive into it, and just instead of calling it Article 6 and Article 7, I'll actually put in the title of the article so they know what we're discussing. But for the sake of my notes, I just noted the article number. And the votes, and yeah, so we did Article 6 and 7, Article 9, Article 5, Article 8, Article 2, and Article 4. I have to, does anyone recall how the vote went on Article 2? That seemed to have got lost in my notes. I could go back and get the video, but the vote on Article 2, I seem to be missing.
Remind me what article that was.
Oops, that's not the right document.
Isn't that the Fowler HVAC? Article 2?
I think so, and I think that was
Yes.
unanimous.
I think so.
That jives with my recollection as well. So I'll just put unanimous in my draft document. And then, yeah, so that was the one thing missing. If we feel like, so I will be open to a motion to approve these minutes. If the committee feels like they need more detail, I'm also fine with that as well. But let me make that change really quick, and then I'll post the changes really quick. And then we could potentially discuss if we want to just want to approve them as is, or if you want me to flesh out the more details on what the articles are.
Can you identify who Justin is in the minutes?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So you could put it under like staff, like
You
instead
could-
of members present, it could be staff present or something.
Yeah. So let me quickly make those changes. Too many windows open. So let me quickly update. So how about I just say dialogue with DPW director? Justin DeMarco regarding that. And then Article 2 was motion passed unanimously. Okay. Do people see the updated version now? That has Article
Yes,
2.
I can see Kevin.
Okay. Motion passed unanimously. And dialogue with DPW Director Justin Marco regarding easements and road acceptance contained in.
It's capital M, DE, capital M.
Oh. All right.
So I will make what is this? 9/11. I will make a motion to approve September 11th meeting minutes with the amendments made during meeting.
And Kevin, are you gonna change it from saying STM Article 6 and 7 to the title of those articles? Is that the understanding of what we're voting on right now?
Yeah, just let me post an update. Is okay if we hold off? If is okay if you withdraw that motion?
Sure.
Jillian, 1 second.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Katie. If okay, if we yes, okay. So
Do you want to vote
motion's
on this next meeting? Is what
I
you're
think
saying?
I think if you feel like it's ready to go, I think all it needs is I
If you
would
have
make a
at the beginning of if you open the STM articles at the front, there's a table and it says like the article number and then it has the title.
Yeah.
You could probably
Alright.
just copy that table in there in the notes and then you don't have to do anything.
Okay. Do we just want to hold off until the next meeting to approve these minutes?
Sure, if you want, and then we can I can circulate them for the next meeting. So that's
Yeah.
a good question. When's the next meeting? Okay, I think technically the next meeting it's usually what, the first and the fourth Mondays in the month. Is that math correct?
That was the first and the third.
I thought it was the second and the fourth.
Oh geez. Oh geez. I gotta look it up. This is why I have a calendar.
Our last one was the 25th, right? So would technically it be the 9th, even though but that's only a week after special town meeting.
It says it on the finance committee website. So let's double check. They take place on the second and fourth Monday of the month.
Ah,
Okay.
Khadijah, good job.
All right. So we'll have the town meeting on next week. So our next normally scheduled meeting, I think, would be October 23rd, unless people can't generally come to that.
I can't come to October 23rd.
Okay.
I'll be there.
All right.
October 23rd.
right, so we'll do the minutes of 9/11 and I would assume you want to also do the minutes of 9/25 there too? And
We'll cover both.
and October 2nd? Today's
yeah.
meeting? Okay.
Yep. That way we'll be all caught up.
Okay. Okay, so if you send those out to me before, I can send them around to the rest of the committee.
Absolutely.
Thank you for taking notes. We appreciate it. All right.
And thank you for your patience as I kind of learn what I need to take and getting into the groove of this.
And Jillian and Kevin, I put out there because I made the mistake where I didn't know that I needed to send it to the town clerk. And
Yep.
so Kevin, just so you know, I don't know if you're sending it to the town clerk as well after they're approved. And I can send you that email and that information if you would like me to.
Yeah, I'll take on that responsibility. So that'll take something off your plate, Katie, and I'll email the town clerk with the minutes if you give me the email.
Sure. Yeah, I'll write up something to you this week on that.
Great, thanks. So we only send the clerk the voted on approved minutes. They
Right.
don't need the draft ones.
Right.
Okay, great.
So it'd be the 8/28 and the July
Correct.
minutes. Okay.
And Kevin,
Okay.
I was a year behind on that, so I'm sure there's no pressure to do it every week, but it's probably easy to do it as we approve them. So
Yeah, I think technically they want them like 30 days after the
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
But we're doing our best.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a little bit of challenge getting used to. But I know
Yeah.
you were doing it for a year, Katie, and hats off to you as well. Thank you for taking that.
yeah, I did, and
that-
clearly I didn't know all the rules either. So we learn as we go. But I'll save you that misery of having to go back a year sending them to the town clerk. And it's just a simple CC to the town clerk. So I'll send you that email
Yeah.
this week.
So if you also have a template, like if you have a
Sure.
template that works, that's been through like the ringer, so to speak, much appreciate that as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. I do. I just used my prior week's one, so I'll send you kind of my base.
Awesome. All right. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's the prior minutes, so we'll do the other ones the future date. So if there's any other updates from chair or members to any of the boards you're liaisoning to or otherwise.
I did have a brief update. The trash commission is meeting tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'll be able to make that meeting, however. So if anyone is free and able to cover, that would be much appreciated. Otherwise, we won't have coverage, but I'll be in touch with them.
Are
Okay.
those in person or Zoom meetings?
Those are in person in town hall. In the basement, that big like room in the basement, they meet there. But it's right at 5 p.m. and that's like right when I'm getting out of work. So
Yeah, I can't make an in-person meeting, unfortunately. But I did also talk to Justin about that because I think we were potentially proposing he might come with the trash task force, which is a tongue twister, to the meeting on 23rd, like, you know, polling for stuff we want to talk about at our next finance meeting after the town meeting. So my understanding is that's potentially something we're interested in talking about. So Justin
Yeah.
said that the trash task force is going to talk to the select board and present their findings sometime in October. So he said once it's been presented to the select board, they would also be happy to come and present to us. So I can ask him if that lines up with their plans or if that would be before the meeting with the select board. So if that's the case, we might not talk to them until November. So I can reach out and ask him that because they said they would be happy to present to us their findings.
I just think it's important that we talk before anything gets locked in, because I do think there is a potential funding source for whatever we want to do as a town, to be had by the efficiency and the cost savings, by the potential cost savings with this.
Okay. So I will ask Justin that, and I also have the email now of the trash task force chairperson. So I'll CC them on that and let you know, let everyone know if that's potentially what we might be talking about next time. Are there any other pressing topics that people wanted to discuss at the next meeting we have? I mean, though, I would obviously put also on the agenda like a debrief from the town meeting.
So the Council on Aging, based upon what we heard tonight, seems to be moving fairly quickly on this. It sounds like they may even have some information ready to present to us by the next meeting. I don't know if anyone count the timeline, but they said like mid-October they would start to have presentable information. I don't know if we want to maybe not require, but invite the Council on Aging to present to us on their initial findings or their initial plan.
Yeah, that's a great point, Kevin. Linda is the representative or the liaison to that committee. She's away, but I can always reach out and see what their timeline might be like. It sounded like maybe they'll have an idea after STM.
I think she said that she was planning on sending something to us within a week, within the week.
Right.
And then potentially invite her to discuss and answer questions. Based upon it, that it took over 200 signatures for that citizens petition. So this is obviously a significant concern for many residents that I think we should be talking about, given the sheer number of signatures that citizens petition got.
Yep.
Jillian, was it Deb? I feel it was Deb. Was it Russell who was speaking on it at special town meeting prep today? Is she also
The
like a
Council on Aging person?
Oh, she was Council on Aging. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I didn't see a sponsor from the article on the call, but I also have trouble seeing when I present things, so I could have missed them.
I don't know. They didn't identify themselves at the very least.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, it's something focus group, but it's important to bear in mind, like that focus group, that's a private group. In
Yes.
spite of its somewhat official sounding name. So I can understand why people may be a little bit confused and mistake them for the Council on Aging, but it's important to distinguish they're a private group doing a private citizen petition.
Yep.
That did get over 200 signatures. So it's not to diminish it in any way. It did get significant support in the town.
All right. Great. And yeah, so I'll reach out to Justin, I'll reach out to the Council on Aging, as future topics. Yeah, so that'll be for the October 24th meeting. So any other questions or comments for our future meeting? I'll keep you in the loop if that new volunteer would like to sort of join us and how that could potentially work out. And I think that's all the items I had on the agenda for me tonight.
Should I make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, if there's no further discussion or comments, I think
All
we're
right,
I think we're good to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn our, what's the date today? Our October 2nd FinCom meeting.
All right, so Katie has made the motion to adjourn at 8:53 p.m. Is there a second?
I second.
Nathan seconds. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, I will take roll call vote. Khadijah,
Yes.
Kevin, Katie,
Yes.
Nathan?
Yes.
I am also a yes, so that is a unanimous vote to adjourn. Thanks everyone for your hard work. Appreciate it. And sorry I can't make the special town meeting. Everyone will do great things.